India is also taking over the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of December. This is the final month of India's 2-year stint as a non-permanent member in the Security Council. And joining us now is Ruchira Kamboj, India's ambassador to the United Nations. Many thanks for speaking with NDTV, ma'am. The first question is, what will India's priorities be in this month of presidency?
As far as the presidency of India is concerned, we will be focusing on two major themes for the month of December. One will be an all-encompassing theme, which will focus on a new orientation for reformed multilateralism. And the second will be to discuss a global counter-terrorism approach, specifically the way forward. Let me elaborate on that.
Sure.
As far as a new orientation for reformed multilateralism is concerned, I think it is very clear to everyone that the UN of today is far from reflective of the true diversity of the UN's wider membership. 22 years after the world leaders had called for a comprehensive UN Security Council reform, we have not moved even an inch. And there is lack of even a negotiating text today. Similarly, the global development architecture outside the United Nations is equally distorted and would require intense efforts to enhance the coherence and consistency of the international monetary, financial, and trading systems. Now, the multidimensional crises facing the world today demand a representative, multilateral architecture that is reflective of contemporary global realities and is well equipped to meet the emerging challenges. Given this background, the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. Jaishankar, will chair an open debate of the Security Council on 14th December, which we very much hope will encourage member states to exchange ideas on key issues such as how to inject new life into reformed multilateralism in order to ensure that the tools we have today are adequate to address the challenges of the future, and also what should be the key elements of this new orientation towards a reformed multilateralism. So that is the first signature event. Then the other one is on 15 December, when the External Affairs Minister will chair a briefing of the Security Council on the global counter-terrorism approach to exchange views on the principles and the way forward. The threat of terrorism is grave and universal, and it is also transnational in nature. There is a resurgence of terrorism in recent times. There is also an increased risk of terrorists exploiting the proliferation of digitalization, new and emerging modes of communication and financing technologies. The existing and emerging threats call for a renewed collective approach to terrorism. This high-level briefing of the Security Council will provide an opportunity for the Council to take stock and build on the recent deliberations of the UN Counter-Terrorism Committee meeting held in India in October, of which you're well aware. It would also aim to arrive at a way forward for the global community's collective fight against terrorism.
Ambassador Kamboj, since reforms in the United Nations are necessary, as you yourself mentioned, where have the hurdles emerged in reforming this multilateral platform?
Well, I would say that this is a very complex process, and perhaps one of the most complex processes in the United Nations, which is a reform of the United Nations Security Council. But I would not give up at all. There is a ray of hope, if I may put it that way. During the high-level week in the course of UNGA 77, 76 countries had spoken in favor of Security Council reform, and 73 countries had favored UN reform. So this is not a serendipitous coincidence. The wider membership, the majority of the membership does favor reform, and it is that we have to be at it, and we very much hope in this 77th session to take the process forward under the presidency, under the Hungarian presidency of the General Assembly.
At the G20 Bali summit, Ambassador Kamboj, the Prime Minister had mentioned that we must not shy away from acknowledging the failings of organizations like the United Nations. What have been the failings of the UN that we need to acknowledge in the recent past specifically?
Well, you know, no system is perfect, and in that light, the UN system is also not perfect. So you are absolutely not incorrect there. I noticed from your question that the stress and the accent was on recent. So I think recent, you could take the case of the Ukraine conflict that may not have inspired the greatest confidence in the multilateral system. However, efforts are always underway to reach a compromise, to build bridges, so to speak. And that effort is a work yet in progress. And until we devise or build a better system, we will have to work within the United Nations system.
Finally, Ambassador Kamboj, with regards to India's non-permanent membership with the United Nations Security Council, which comes to a close at the end of this year, how is India going to continue to engage with the UNSC after this tenure?
Well, the answer is again in your question. Our tenure in the Council would be coming to an end this year. However, the good work will continue. Through these 2 years and before that as well, India has been recognized as a voice of reason, as a voice of great moderation, as a bridge builder, and we will continue that good work, both outside the Security Council or whether in the Security Council this month, and always work towards the greater global good in keeping with the philosophy that has been espoused by our Prime Minister, that the whole world is one family. And now that we take over the presidency of the G20, also tomorrow, I think we're very clear that it is one Earth, one planet, and one future.
India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, many thanks for speaking with NDTV.